Hi everyone, this is Ananya Pal. I am happy to be back again with you. We all are going through a very difficult situation right now, and each of us have our own way of staying positive. Personally, I am immersed in the quest of the glorious past of India. That gives me immense energy, courage and hope to stay positive. For some time now, I was pondering over Ramayana. When was Ramayana written, and what could have been the political and religious situation in the then Indian society when Ramayana was written? Because the plot of Ramayana is so different and so unique, especially considering the fact that it was written not in common era, before common era, which is established fact that it was written before common era. So that I was thinking over and did some research on it. So today I will discuss about that. Ramayana is one of the two great epics of India, originally written by sage Valmiki, and then later many others contributed to it over a period of time. I am not going to discuss the story of Ramayana here, but broadly we all know that Ramayana defined the life of Lord Ram and his conquest towards southern part of Indian subcontinent, which reached as far as Lanka or Sinhala Desh. So I was wondering, how come Sinhala Desh and places like Kishkinda, which are the southern part of Indian subcontinent, came into this epic at the time when the northern part of India was dominated by the Aryan and the southern part was by Dravidian. The Aryans till then really not penetrated into the southern part. So how come this epic reflected these southern parts? The surge of Buddhism started in India during the lifetime of Lord Buddha, which was around 5th century BCE, and it reached its height under the patronage of Emperor Ashoka. We all know Ashoka was a great follower of Buddhism. He spread his emissaries beyond the border of India. So it was Emperor Ashoka who was primarily responsible for the massive spread of Buddhism not only in India but also beyond the borders. That happened in 3rd century BCE. But unfortunately, with the death of Ashoka, which happened in 232 BCE, the Mauryan dynasty fell very weak, and within next 50 years it got completely wiped out. So we can say the death of Ashoka put a break to the swelling wave of Buddhism, which reached stagnation with time. The last king of Mauryan dynasty, Brihadratha, was assassinated by his commander-in-chief, his own commander-in-chief, Pushyamitra Shunga. It happened around 185 BCE. So early 2nd century BCE we can say, and with that started the new Shunga dynasty in powerful Magadha empire. Shungas were Hindu Brahmins. So naturally, during their reign, Hinduism again started getting prominence in the society. And with that, new Hindu scriptures were written like Puranas. They started at that time only. And another thing happened with that, that is the revival of Sanskrit language again, because during during the period of Ashok, Pali was the language for religion and Brahmi used to be the common language. Sanskrit kind of took a back seat and remained as the language for the Hindu scholars. So during this time, the revival of Sanskrit language also happened. During the Shunga rule, few of the central India territories tore apart from Magadha realm. Koshal, Ayodhya, Mathura were such. The kingdoms mentioned in Ramayana like Ayodhya, Mithila actually existed during this period, that is 2nd century BCE. So another thing very surprising, that Pushyamitra Shunga performed Ashwamedha Yagna during his reign to establish his military supremacy, which is very similar to the one mentioned in Ramayana, which was conducted by Lord Ram. So taking into account all these, I strongly feel that Ramayana was written during 2nd century to 1st century BCE. Kishkinda kingdom was a prominent part of the main story of Ramayana. We all know that it was a Vanara kingdom ruled by initially King Bali and then later on by Sugriv, who showed his allegiance to Lord Ram. Kishkinda kingdom was located near modern day Hampi, Karnataka. And during this period of Shunga rule, it was ruled by local Dravidian chieftains. Why I am saying this? Because the earliest mention of any dynasty ruling that region was early Cholas, which started in the 2nd century Common Era. So that explains the identity of King Bali and Sugriv, who were local chieftains of non-Aryan race, and they were probably animalist in region. That means they worshipped animals and had Vanara or monkey as the symbol in their royal emblem. And very interestingly, 2-3 years back I went to Hampi and visited Malavanta hill. There I saw herds of monkeys roaming around. Malavanta hill was erstwhile Kishkinda Parbat. Now comes the more interesting part of Lanka, or Sinhala Desha as it was known at that time. The earliest mention of Sinhala Desha in Indian scriptures was in Pali, where an island deep down south was mentioned as Tambapanni or Tamraparni. In Valaka Jataka, an island was mentioned where demons lived, which basically they meant Lanka. during the time of Emperor Ashok, for the first time the name of a proper king from the island were mentioned in the inscriptions. He was Deva Namapriya Tishya. Tishya not only showed his allegiance towards Ashok, but also sought his formal recognition during Tishya's coronation in the kingdom of Anuradhapur, which is modern day northern Sri Lanka. During his reign, Tishya adopted Buddhism in his kingdom, and a large number of Mauryan emissaries, both religious as well as political, appeared in the island. And these Mauryan diplomats, they not only spread religious teachings there, but political diplomats were also there, and they kind of made a colony there. They remained there for a long time. So there was great influence of Mauryan dynasty in Lanka at that time. But after the death of Ashok as well as Tishya, the island kingdom became devoid of any strong ruler. During this chaos, which was around 205 BCE, a Hindu ruler from the mainland of India emerged in Anuradhapur. His name was Ilalan. Ilalan ruled for about 45 years with great military and administrative power. He was a very powerful, at the same time able king. In the Mahavamsh, which is the Buddhist chronicle of Sri Lanka, Ilalan was mentioned with utmost respect as a mighty and just king. Though he was an invader, still in Mahavamsh he was mentioned with respect. It means a lot. That means he really contributed and meant well for his subjects, so he became a very successful king. Now, does this story of Ilalan corroborate a bit with that of Vibhishan? Vibhishan, who was the brother of Ravan, showed his allegiance towards Ram, and after conquering Lanka, Ram instated him as the king of Lanka, and Vibhishan was obviously a follower of Ram. So, if we see the reign of Ilalan, during his time, Ilalan, who was a Hindu, he established many Hindu temples in his kingdom, and especially that of Lord Vishnu. So, there is lot of similarity in the stories, and I personally feel that the plot of Ramayana has been influenced by this political and religious situation of the then Indian subcontinent. So, that was it. It was my point of view. I don't know whether you liked it or not, but if you leave feedback in the comment section, I would really be grateful to you, because that will help me to learn more. It will inspire me also. Thank you so much. I sincerely hope I can come back again with some more topics in ancient India. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy.